stairs, coming home from a 3-hour gymnastics practice, it struck me. I was starving. However, as I stopped in front of the hall closet to put my bag away, a furious debate was happening in my mind. To shower first or not to shower first? That was the question. The reason that this was such a highly debated topic was that about 2 months prior, I had started a diet. I had talked with my parents, and we had agreed that it was a good idea for me to start looking at what I was eating to make sure that I could be healthy and perform my best in gymnastics. However, over the past 2 months, it had devolved to me eating less than 300 calories a day. To put this into perspective, the average active teenager should eat roughly 2,000 calories a day, depending on what sport they participate in. Gymnastics is one of the most rigorous on that list. Why had I done this? Why did I start dieting at the age I was? You see, I wanted to lose a little bit of weight and be able to perform better, tumble more easily. And I had the secret desire that it would turn me into a stunningly beautiful young woman. However, as I stood in front of the hall closet, I could not decide. I had pushed myself to a limit. Instead of making a rational decision, I broke down crying in the hallway that day. I am not an abnormality. As the Girls' Attitude Survey says, in 2016, young women ages 7 to 10 years old, 40% of them feel ashamed or embarrassed of their body, with 15% of them feeling this way most of the time. This number in and of itself is sad enough, but it only gets worse when you go to the older age brackets. Women 17 to 21 years old, 78% of them feel that same shame and embarrassment, with 50% of them feeling this way most of the time. This isn't a problem for women only, though. The National Eating Disorder Association says that the body dissatisfaction rate in men is quickly approaching that of women. What happened? Fast forward with me 6 months. I looked like this. I stood in the walk-in closet that I shared with my mother. I was trying to pick out a dress to take with me when we went to visit my grandparents. However, I tried on 3 so far, and this one was my breaking point. It was a beautiful jersey dress, but it showed that I had a growing teenage body. As this realization sunk in, I crumpled like a piece of paper in a toddler's hands. Why does this happen? Why do we have this problem? What causes it? We have to look to our role models today, to social media, to the toys that children play with, and you will find your answer. From the first Star Wars movie release to the current day addition to the Star Wars franchise, the toys have gone from reasonably proportioned to looking like they bench press the Death Star for fun. Now let's look at Barbie and Bratz for a moment, who have always championed long legs, tiny waists, and a large chest. When we as children see these, our heroes, do amazing things, we can't help but want to be like them. Now, as we get older, we stop playing with toys as much, but we have that same image reinforced. We see that the people that are successful, that are happy, that are living the lives we want to live, look like this. When we see that to achieve all our dreams, do everything we ever wanted in life, we have to look like this. We start working for it. A seed is planted and it grows into an obsession. This is where society conveniently steps in and provides us with a quick fix. It's extreme dieting. This often leads to what is called yo-yo dieting, where for a short amount of time, you exercise at insane levels and you eat a highly depleted amount of food. You often lose the weight you were hoping to, but as soon as you stop this crazy regimen, you gain back the weight you lost, plus more, only leading into a vicious cycle of self-hate. In the world today, there are 70 million people that suffer from eating disorders, such as anorexia nervosa, where through the misconception that you are obese or overweight, you starve yourself for days and weeks at a time. Or bulimia nervosa, where you eat anything and everything you can get your hands on, and then force yourself to vomit it all back up to avoid gaining weight. This exposes your throat and mouth to stomach acids, causing interior breakdown of your organs. Let me make this a little bit more personal. In the US alone, there are 30 million people that suffer from an eating disorder. That's 42% of the American population. Look around to the 10 people closest to you. 4 of you are suffering from an eating disorder. My friends and family helped me realize that what I was doing to myself was only causing harm. And that's when I read a book called Change Your Clothes, Change Your Life, because you can't go naked. This book called to me on 3 levels. First of all, humor. Because when you realize you're in a dark place and you want to get out, you want to make a change, finding something that's funny and gives you even just a tad of hope goes a long way to helping you make that difference. The second reason is because it gave me an idea that there was somewhere else for me to go, something else I could be than stuck in this cycle of self-hate. And finally, using my clothing to do it. We were all little kids once. We loved Halloween because we got to dress up as our favorite fictional characters. Whether it was a fairy tale princess or the newest crime-fighting hero. When we stepped into those costumes, we felt like we could take on the baddest villain and save the world. All because of the clothing we wore. However, when you suffer from an eating disorder, getting up every morning and getting dressed is painful. Because you're reminded of everything that isn't good enough about yourself. You're reminded of everything that you want to change and you want to hide. I learned that clothes can make a difference. And so I started to research. I started to learn anything and everything I could. Over the next 1.5 years of study, I grew an idea. An idea that instead of being in a world where we have to fit into someone else's idea of right, we're joyful about the way we look on the inside and the outside, just like when we were kids. We use our clothing to make us powerful. Now, when I say powerful, I'm talking about powerful enough to make a change in the world, not only in our own lives, but in all those around us. I use the definition from Amy Cuddy's Personal Power. Personal power is characterized by the freedom from the dominance of others. It is infinite as opposed to zero-sum. It allows us access to limitless inner resources, our truest selves, our boldest beliefs, what we hold on to most dearly. What it does is it allows us to think who we are and take advantage of opportunities. Where when you're given that chance to travel somewhere new, get the job you've always wanted, or maybe reach out a hand to someone you've never met, you step forward and say, "Here I am." And in doing so, you make all the difference. But if we want to use clothing to help us, we have to know what it can do. A study by the researcher and psychologist Karen Pine was labeled the T-shirt test. This test was to see that if students wearing a Superman T-shirt would count themselves more confident than students wearing a plain white T-shirt or their own clothing. Not only did she get a resounding yes, but she also found that the students wearing the superhero T-shirt rated themselves as more confident, more capable, and physically stronger than the other people in the test. This shows the physical connection between what we wear and what we think we can do. But what about the emotional? When it came time for me to explain the idea of enclosed cognition to my teacher, a light bulb went off, and she told me her own experience with it. One morning, she had just woken up on the wrong side of the bed. As she continued through her morning routine, she just couldn't do it. She was not going to be in this negative mood all day. At the time, she had a yellow dress that she loved to wear. Quickly changing and stepping out the door, She spent the rest of the day in a much improved mood and receiving compliments on her outfit. There's two parts to enclothed cognition. First, the memories, sensations, and feelings we associate with a piece of clothing. For the bright yellow dress, my teacher had a great memory from the last time she wore it. So when she put it on, she revisited that happy memory and it turned her mood around. Then there's actually wearing the clothing. If something is too tight and is constricting, or too loose and always slides around, you aren't going to be comfortable, much less confident when you wear clothing. And the third idea is the red sneaker effect. This is best explained by people that are willing to step just outside of the accepted norm, are more highly respected and admired for doing so. The best example is a college professor. Every day he would wear a button-up shirt and slacks, but for every lecture he would wear bright red Converse. Not only did his friends and family think it was impressive, but his students and colleagues respected him more for being willing to show who he was no matter what he was doing. Now, unlike fashion, which is always trying to tell you the next hottest thing to wear on the runway, I want to show you how to dress your best for yourself, so you can feel powerful in your everyday life. I want to give you the word panoply. Panoply means a complete array of armor for a knight. Our clothing can be our panoply, because just like armor, it can help us stand strong in the hardest of circumstances. With whatever life throws at us, whatever challenges we face, clothing can help us stand firm and succeed. But panoply may seem a little puzzling. There's only two puzzle pieces to this part of panoply: inspiration and creation. Starting with the first puzzle piece, inspiration. There's two things you need to know and one thing you gotta find. You need to think about, what are you going to be doing? Are you going to be out in the pouring rain all day, or in a cold air-conditioned building? Because your clothing needs to be able to serve its practical function for you to be able to wear it for whatever you're doing. The second part is you want to think about how you want to feel and how you want other people to see you when you're dressed in this outfit. For me, I wanted to be professional, polished, and colorful. I wanted people to see me as someone that knew what their business was, and I wanted to be approachable. After you have this list of words and ideas, you look for artwork, pictures, anything that inspires that sensation in you. For me, I found a beautiful oil painting that made me feel just like I wanted to standing on this stage right now. I found looks that made me go, yes, that's how I want people to see me. That's how I want to feel. Save these images, collect them, because they will be the building blocks in the next step to the puzzle of panoply. That would be creation. Creation, it's easy. What you do now is that you have your building blocks, you have your ideas. Go through your own clothing. Pull out things that you think might work together and might not. As one of my favorite quotes says, never be afraid to try, because you never know how perfect something might turn out. This applies beautifully to clothing, because you may not think that those shoes and that shirt are going to go together, but you never know until you try. As you test out combinations, you find things that you love to death, and things that you will never put on again in your life. This allows you to know what's going to make you feel confident, make you feel your best, which is the most important part. For me, it took 3 tries to figure out what I was going to wear to this very presentation. The first one was a blue and white combination. I love the color scheme, but it just felt too dressed up, like I was going to a business meeting rather than to a presentation. The second one was more flowy and elegant. I love this outfit. I wore it 2 days later, but it just didn't give the right look for this particular event. That's when inspiration struck me. Why not dress up something that I love to wear on a daily basis? T-shirt and jeans. I added a white blazer, slim heels, and my version of the red sneakers. just a little bit of rhinestone to make me feel my best when I was talking to all these people and sharing my idea. Now, use this tool in your everyday life to find personal power. But remember why. If you see someone hurting, whether it be from an eating disorder or from dissatisfaction with yourself, share Panoply with them. Because when we have personal power, we can change the world. Thank you.